Okay, so what is the architecture of an Express application? How do its components work together? So at the center of every Express app is the app instance created with const app equals Express. This instance manages everything: middleware, routes, and error handling. Middleware functions are the backbone of Express. Every request flows through middleware chain, which could be something like request, middleware 1, middleware 2, route handler, and response. Middleware can process the request, modify the request, for example, adding rec.user or rec.timestamp, send a response early, or call next to pass control forward. Route handlers are the final stop in the chain. They match a specific HTTP method and path, like app.get info/books, handler function. They must send a response or call the error handler, otherwise the request will wait until timeout. Error handlers come last. They catch anything thrown or passed via next in parentheses error. Express 5 ensures that even async errors are caught. Order matters a lot. So body parsing middleware like app.use, express.js, JSON must come before any route that needs rec.body. Middleware either passes the request along to the route handler or next middleware, or send an error while the route handler is the last stop, sending back a response or throwing an error. And that's the difference between middleware and route handlers. How do you handle HTTP requests and responses in Express? To work effectively with Express, you need to understand the structure of an HTTP request. Every request includes a method, a path, optional query parameters, optional headers, and sometimes a body. So accessing request data, Express exposes all of this through the rec object. Rec.method is the HTTP method, like get, post, patch, or delete. Rec.path is the URL path. Rec.query are query parameters. Rec.params are path parameters. And rec.body is parsed JSON body after the express.json middleware. Sending responses. The res object gives you the tools to send data back. Res.status code sets the HTTP status. Res.json obj sends JSON, and res.send text sends plain text or HTML. What is REST and how does it relate to Express applications? REST stands for Representational State Transfer. REST uses standard HTTP methods to represent actions, like get is read data, post as create data, put as replace data, patch as update part of a record, and delete, remove data. So a RESTful API endpoint equals a URL plus an HTTP method that performs an action on a resource. So for example, get/users would be get all users. Post/users would be create a new user. Get/users/ :id would be get one user. Patch/users/ :id would be update part of a user, and delete/users/ :id would delete a user. Each endpoint does one clear thing, and the HTTP method tells the server what action to take. So for example, in our lesson, we had some examples of REST API status code. So it would be like app.get for a get method. In users, so get users, and it would send back all the users, and then also a status code with a 200, meaning everything was okay. Posts would look something like this. So to create a user, you would do app.post users, and you would create a new user and then send back a response with 201 created and the new user. Put would be an app.put users : id, and then const user equals update user. with these params and with this body, and it would send back a res.status 200 saying okay, updated, or a 201 created, and then a delete user would be an app.delete. To delete a specific user, it would delete that user and then send back a 204, meaning no content because you deleted that user. So status codes. Status codes. HTTP status codes are 3-digit numbers that include the result of an HTTP request. They're grouped into 5 categories: 100 for informational, 200 for success, 300 for redirection, 400 for client errors, and 500 for server errors. Good APIs use these consistently so clients know exactly what happened. So, in summary, Express applications are built around a clear architecture: an app instance, a chain of middleware, route handlers, and a final error handler. Middleware order matters because every request flows through the chain in sequence. Express gives you simple tools to read request data and send structured responses. And REST provides the conventions, HTTP methods, paths, and status codes that help you design clean, predictable API points.